Okay, welcome to day 2 of our DBXL training. My name is Patrick. Thank you for being here. We want to do a quick check and see how people are doing from labs yesterday. Luke, PY, were you able to get through Module 3 lab?
I
This is
still have
P.
trouble to access.
So you're still having access issues. And is it with
Yeah,
DBXL 365 site, or which site is it that you're having trouble with?
DBXL 365, will pop up the credential screen, and I tried the G1, G2, and G6, and it won't let me to get in.
Just checking with our, see if we can get our server admin to quickly unblock you on that. Thanks for the feedback. I'm sorry about the issues. PY, did you have the same issue on your side, or were you trying to use your web service on there? Did you? I think we found an
Re
old email. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Regarding the training 2013 farm board site, I can log in. However, I cannot access the libraries. I got an access denied, um, and I'm still struggling to find out where is our local installation of DBXL. I'm not sure if it's on the server or if it's on another machine. So yeah, the link you sent me yesterday, it was for the production account, the production web service. So I'm
Right.
trying to see where I can use the dev web service and with which machine. So I wasn't able to complete the lab, and I doubt that I will be able to do it today as well. But anyway, I'm looking at the presentation, and
Yeah, and we're always here to help
it's
you
enough for
with.
me. Yeah.
That's good, and we're always here to help you with the labs when you do get a chance. Luke, we're going to get you unblocked here with the training site. Hopefully, before the class is over today. I'm just chatting with my server admin, Jim Cantwell, to see if he can actually do that. We do have some interesting content to go through today. Yesterday we covered an overview of the changes that we made in 2.9 and 3.0. We talked about, I think, the event receiver and showed you conditional submit and conditional delete. One thing I did not talk about, which were the upgrade scenarios. I'll talk a little bit about that to start off with today. We have basically 2 different upgrade scenarios, in-place upgrade and side-by-side. They don't, I mean, for you two, you don't care because you're using the latest and greatest, but I want to just talk briefly about it for people who might be visiting and listening to this video later. And we have a lot of customers on previous versions of DBXL that we need to upgrade. They need to upgrade, and we have obviously 2 ways to do it. And then after that, what I'll do is we'll jump in, and we've got Dawn on the line. Dawn, thanks for being here. I know it's very early still in Manila, but we have a demo to show you how to generate PDFs. This is one of the key new features in DBXL. We're going to show you, we're going to walk through configuring a document type to generate a PDF. We're going to show you how to extract attachments from it and synchronize both the PDF and we're going to synchronize the PDFs with OneDrive and SharePoint. So we have tools to allow you to generate the PDF on a folder in the server, email the PDF to people with attachments. We can also synchronize the PDF and store it on OneDrive or on your SharePoint site as a document in the library. So those are the things we're going to focus on today. Any questions on that agenda? And of course, we'll talk about custom naming and how to customize the body. And okay, great, thanks. So let's quickly talk about deployment models. DBXL has been around for 11, 12 years now, and we have a document on deployment, a deployment guide. It's a very short document. This comes with DBXL, so if you log into your DBXL instance, hopefully PY you can get access at some point to your DBXL instance. I'm just going to go to the one we were using yesterday, and I'm just going to type it in here. And on this page, we have documentation, and what I'm looking at right now is a deployment guide that ships with 3.0. So it's pretty short. We've also got this in the package of content that we sent you yesterday as a PDF. And basically, this is a very short document that describes these two different models. I'm just going to explain kind of what it is, why it is that we have these different scenarios. And historically, we have encouraged people, or we have suggested that people install DBXL on the SharePoint server. That policy changed with the release of DBXL 2.8, which coincided with SharePoint 2013, and this is what you see right here in text. We changed our policy to recommend that you install DBXL on a separate server. The reason behind this is, as you would guess, I mean, there's an old term that some of us techies use called DLL hell, right? DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. Microsoft Windows applications are DLLs, right? They tend to use link libraries to run all of their functionality. And back in the old days, we had DLL hell. Everyone has settings in the registry, and they're all kind of commingled, right? Nowadays, with servers, cloud-based systems, we no longer have DLL hell. That was a client application problem. Nowadays, we have issues with we call a tragedy of the commons. Same idea, but instead of having DLL hell, we have lots of third parties that install their stuff on SharePoint, right? And they invariably change the web config on SharePoint. There's a web config file that causes other people to be affected, so it's collateral damage. You know, you want to do remodeling of your house, you get the guys that do the painting and you get the guys that do the floors. You don't want them working together, because what happens is the painters will drop paint on the floor, and then the floor guys will ignore it and just seal it in, right? So then you end up with a nice wood floor that has a lot of paint that's been sealed in. So that's the kind of collateral damage that we're trying to prevent now by recommending that you install DBXL in a side-by-side scenario. So very simple. The side-by-side basically means that you're installing it. Actually, there's two modes. There's side-by-side, and then there's completely separate. And I think we talk about upgrade in a second. So let me just continue talking about this. So in the event receiver mode, this is the separate mode, you're going to install DBXL on a separate server, and this is the way you have configured it. This is the way we're demoing it in the lab. In this scenario, the event receiver synchronizes with DBXL, and the event receiver is the connection. Now, scenario number 2 is we call side-by-side. They're essentially both side-by-side in the sense that the server is separate. But what we're talking about with this side-by-side mode is that they're not using the event receiver. Instead, the forms are submitting to DBXL as well as SharePoint. So the forms themselves will continue submitting to SharePoint, and you'll add in an additional submit to DBXL. Don't recommend that, because obviously side-by-side involves adding a data connection to your form, but there are some scenarios where this is important. Specifically, if you're relying on DBXL for document level permissioning, you will want to implement this. If you can't install the event receiver for whatever reason, then side-by-side is your back off. And those are the two deployment models. So both cases, you're going to be deploying DBXL on a separate server. The difference being the event receiver is an add-on that you install into SharePoint as central admin. Side-by-side doesn't require central admin. You just have to update the form to submit to DBXL in parallel. Any questions on those two? With regard to upgrading, For users who are on 2.8 or 2.9, it's just an in-place upgrade. So you don't have to worry about migrating data. You're going to essentially back up your DBXL database and then install it in place, which means you uninstall DBXL, reinstall DBXL 3.0 with pointing it to the existing databases, right? So that's how easy it is. When you install DBXL, it will sense where the existing databases are, and if they're still there, it will let you connect to those and use those in place. And we do come up periodically with releases in between minor releases, so we have what we call hot fixes. A hot fix would be a bug fix or some kind of a fix, an escalation fix that we want to get out to people. We've had a few fixes with the PDF service lately. If you haven't installed DBXL since October, there were a couple key fixes that happened in December, so you'll want to upgrade to that if you want to use the PDF feature. And of course, that will be using the in-place upgrade, which is basically back up your database, uninstall the existing version of DBXL, install the latest version in the same place, choosing to reuse the existing databases. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? If you're upgrading from a previous version of DBXL, you will need to migrate your data. So anything from like 2.1, 2. We don't have anybody, I think, that's below 2.1. But for 2.1 and above, up to 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for those people, they're going to want to do migration. And the way you do the migration is using the migration tool. You'll install a new version of DBXL on a separate, on the same server or a separate server, but it will be a separate instance, so it won't use the same database as the old one. And then what you'll do is you'll use the migration tool to migrate the data from the old instance to the new instance. So you'll effectively have two versions of DBXL running at the same time, the old version and the new version, and the migration tool will help you to migrate the data. The migration tool does run in a batch mode. For those of you who are not familiar with the migration tool, it is a free download on infopathdev.com. It can be used to do lots of different things, and if you haven't, I know, PY, that you have it installed because I saw your screenshot yesterday with it featured. But if you are looking for it, you can come here to our downloads area of InfoPath Dev, and you can click on Document Deployer. The migration tool has kind of two names. It has Doc Deployer as an old name, and lately we've been calling it the migration tool. And so you can see here we got lots of different versions here. I think 2.8 is the latest, if I'm not mistaken, and that's been out now for a couple of years. Actually, there might be a more recent one out there, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to install the migration tool. It's a free download, and it works by pointing. You'll point it at the. I've got it installed on my machine here, so you'll basically point the migration tool at your old instance. So in this case, I'm going to use. I'm going to go into my my other operations here, and you see I've got reshred, I've got transform and migrate, I've got lots of different commands in here. I can import documents, so what you'll end up doing is the first thing you'll do is you'll export, so you'll actually connect to an existing DBXL instance, and you can see that this is version 2.8, so I think this is the most recent version. It'll connect, it'll show you all the configurations that exist on that server. You'll pick one of the document types to migrate over, and we have scripts that allow you to migrate all of them over, but for the purpose of this demo I'm just going to show you this one here. And what you'll do is you'll export the documents and the configuration, and you'll export it to some local drive. So let's just do this here. Export to training, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'll try to. I hate this dialogue. It just is a complete, terrible dialogue. And typically what you're going to do is just say whatever. You can just say DBXL version 2.9. I don't even know which version we have running on this server, but you can say DBXL 2.9, and then we'll just export that. And then just going to run this. Now, if you're using a taxonomy or workflow, very few customers use those, so I'm not going to show you that, but if you are, you can check those boxes as well. And once it's done, you'll get this success dialog box. If we take a look at the actual location, you'll see it exported the document type and then all the documents. In this case, we only had 3 documents. Okay, so then what we do is we go to our tool again, and we connect to the new service. So in this case, it'll be okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to import. So here we'll specify that training library that we just exported to. It actually automatically fills that in. That's good. And then what we want to do is we want to upload it to, you can pick an existing, we only have one configuration that we actually exported, so that's what we'll import. And then you would basically select the configuration that you want to import. If you want, you can also specify which databases to use, but by default it will use the mapping file to determine that. And then you'll click Run, and it will upload those documents. Now we have customers that have millions of documents, and this tool works really well with large document sets. It does take time to import and export, but it is a good batch. You can just let it run, and if there are any issues, you can get a log at the end showing you what the issues were, and you can go back and just fix up the forms that didn't shred correctly or didn't map correctly. Any questions on the migration using the DBXL migration tool, aka Doc Deployer? Okay, so I've just gotten word from our admin, Luke, that he's going to be creating that account for you to use for the DBXL. I'm sorry we didn't have that created yesterday. Okay, all right then, so we're going to jump in and talk about PDF generation. And before I get started, I want to quickly, we have a lab that we've prepared for you today that is in Module 4. We've had our testers been working, Reiko is actually on the call. She's had some trouble with it. I've gone through it with these are new labs that we created for this training this week, and I've gone through the lab with Dawn, who created the lab this morning, and we did get it to work. Not sure why it's giving me a warning here, but we'll get this open. Okay, so this is the lab for Module 4, and basically we're going to go through and show you how to generate PDFs and set them up. So this is one of the key features in DBXL 3.0, and what I want to do is kind of walk through the feature first, and then we're going to go through and do the actual setup. So we're going to do a quick demo and show you how this works. And Dawn, are you available? Are you ready to do your demo? Dawn, do you have audio? What I'd like to do is do a demo of basically just creating a form and submitting it and generating the PDF. And I know I can do this too, but I just want to give you the opportunity since I know it's your baby. I can't hear you, but if you can hear me and unmute yourself, do you want to demo this to folks, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, check. Yeah, sure. I'll go through the demo.
Well, I can do it if you want. If you're, yeah, I can hear you. I'm more than happy to do it with your assistance if I get stuck. But
Okay, sure.
do you? All right, is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to kind of show you what this feature looks like. So Dawn, sorry, I muted you by mistake. If you can hear me, you've got the email configured. Well, we'll go in there and we'll look at it. So go ahead and mute yourself if you want, and I'm just going to walk people through this. So we have set up this form in the form library on the training site. And so let's just do this. Let's go to the form and going to, okay, so here's our form library. And what I'll do is I'll just do a quick test here. I'm just going to add a form. And Dawn, it will send an email to me, right?
If you put your email address
Yeah.
at the manager information.
Gotcha. So today's business expense is going to be, we're going to take the team out for pizza. So we'll call it the Hump Day Retreat. Today is Hump Day in the United States, which means it's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. We're almost over the hump, which means that it's all downhill from here. And I will type in my obligatory information here. Obviously, we should have had this automatically populate to make it faster for us, our demo. But no worries. This will give me time to chat. So I'm just going to type in my address here as well as my manager's address. And for this expense today, we will choose the number one food source, the number one food item for engineers, which would be pizza or burgers, one or the other, but we'll just say pizza for now. We'll say we've got a restaurant, a pizza place that has wood-fired pizza here, whatever, and we're going to say morale, and we're going to spend $100 on pizza. Actually, we'll spend 1, 2, 3, and 35 cents, 36 cents, 56 cents, whatever. And then we'll add one more item, which is going to be an Uber car to get there. So we'll do Uber transport, and we'll call this transportation. And let's say it costs us $75, $74 to get there from our headquarters. Okay, it's expensive because we had to have a van. So we'll say Uber shuttle. Okay, we're going to submit this. Now when I submit it, hopefully it'll work. Did we break the form, Don? Is it supposed to submit to the library, right?
Yeah, it's going to submit to the library.
Okay. My problem here is, as everyone knows, is I forgot the expense code. We should have a warning in the form, but this is being such a simple form. We didn't do it. So anyway, make sure your validation is obvious for folks. Okay, so we just submitted pizza. And what I want to do next is I want to open up this form in the browser, in the designer, in the filler. So to do that, let's go back to DBXL here and let's open it up from DBXL, because that's one way we can open it up from the InfoPath filler. So I'm going to go to 365 to my admin tool we saw yesterday. I'm going to go into this document type, and we're going to need to show you how we do the mapping as well in here. Okay, so here is our, and by the way, Luke, we have a new, we have an account set up for you, and it's going to be training user, and the password is going to be the same password. So it's a slightly different user. The Azure site is not where we have DBXL running. The DBXL Azure is not joined to the training domain, so we're going to have to use a different user. But try that, and I think the permissions should be good, but if not, we can grant more permissions very quickly. So in the training then, we have this event receiver, I'm sorry, the PDF generation. You can see we have 6 forms in there. Let's see if our pizza form was submitted correctly. There it is. So opening up from here is going to open up in the filler. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, that's kind of silly. I mean, we're all browser-based these days. The reason is because I want to show you how I can create, oh, this is lovely. I need to remember the password for this machine. Another reason why we hate using filler, because when you're doing, I think there's just one more to go here. When you're doing training, anyway, here's the form. The reason why I want to open it up in the filler is I want to show you how this looks as a PDF form. So there are lots of ways to PDF a form. One of them is to use the out-of-box, let's go to my training site here, PDF generator. And that is called, it's not called QPDF. I'm using something different for good reason. I'll talk more about that in a second. But just make sure we go to the right location here. And module 4, we're going to generate this PDF. We're going to call it QD expense report pizza. Okay. Now, obviously, if I'm working on a laptop in the field, I can actually do this. In fact, for our forms, a lot of our forms, we actually generate PDFs locally, just like you saw I did it. So this is actually, it's a viable way to do it. And this gives us a form that looks very similar to the view. Okay. Now let's take a look at the form again. Now, there's another option for generating a PDF, and that is underneath share here. You'd think it would be underneath print, but it's underneath share. It says create PDF. So here what I can do is I can actually create the PDF, and this is going to give me yet another version. Why it's asking me to do this, I'm not sure, but I will play ball and just ignore my uncertainty, because apparently I do remember the 3-finger login here. Okay, so for whatever reason, it requires us to log in again, which is really stupid. But let's just compare this. Let's just do it side by side. So I'm going to say this one as pizza 2. I'll just call this underscore 2, V2. And it's going to export it, and it's going to open it up in PDF, and that's what we get. Oh my God, it looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Microsoft's built-in PDF support is lousy. Don't use it. But I have to show you this, right? Because people end up using it, and they're like, well, it's Microsoft. It's good quality. Yes, most of Microsoft's products are very good quality, but not this one. This feature for exporting it, it just looks terrible compared to Qt PDF, which not only is called Qt, but also looks exactly like what you'd expect. So now with these two open, we're going to open up a third one. We're going to show you what it looks like from the server. So hopefully by now I've gotten an email telling me that world peace has been achieved. I'm going to switch to my email on my other machine here and just check so that I make sure that I'm not what sort I want to use. I don't want to show you a bunch of stupid emails. So you can see here, if I search on the recent items, you can see that I've got DBXL rendering service there. That's the one that got generated. And notice that, first of all, we're going to show you how to create this, but notice that it's got a PDF attached. Now, and that generates a PDF that looks different. We'll talk more about why in a second. So that's the third way. And now there's a couple ways to configure this. So let me just walk through it and show you the configuration. So the configuration is in the admin tool. So you're going to click on the admin tool. You're going to launch the admin tool. And where's our admin tool? That's my timesheet for today. Here's the admin tool again. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into catalog, and you're going to actually, in 3.0, we have all the PDF renderings here underneath the system documents. It's called QD rendering, or QD render mapping. And if you see this here, it's actually in this version, it's still up above where it says QD render mapping here. In your version, it will be down system document types. For whatever reason, we decided to promote this on top here so it was easier for us to find. But your QD render mapping will be down below. Now I want you to look at this. There are 11 render mappings, right? So we have configured 11 PDF render mappings. There's 276 PDFs we've generated, but there's only 11 mappings. And you can see them here. We've got one for expense report. We've got one for some test forms. And then we've got the one for Module 4 down at the bottom. You see that? So we're going to open that one. And these are just InfoPath forms. So we're using InfoPath to configure the mappings for the PDF generation. And the third time. Okay, with any luck, we'll get the PDF render mapping open. Okay, so you can see here, this is the config form that you use to generate a PDF mapping. And there's a lot of settings here, so we're going to go through these. First off, you've got the name. So this can be anything. We've decided to name it something that's indicative of what it is. It's the PDF render mapping for Module 4. You also have things like XML rendering. We'll talk more about that later because this is also a new feature. XML allows you to generate a form from a SQL table. So this is useful if you have a web page that you want to automatically generate a form from and send it to somebody. So because this is PDF, we've prefixed the name with PDF. We've specified that we want to generate a PDF for this doc type. What it's showing us here is all the non-system doc types. And when you select the doc type, you're going to want to load the information. And that's going to load the InfoPath form template in. And then you can pick the different views. So if I switch this to view 1 and save it, we'll get a PDF. This is the first thing we'll just do here. We'll save that. Fortunately, it closed it on save, but that's okay. We're going to just submit it again here. In fact, I'll just go back to the library. If I can find it. Okay, so here's my library. So I'm just going to submit pizza again. And actually, I should ask Don about this. Don, do we have I didn't look at the PDF mapping, but do we have it configured to send the PDF in all cases or just when it's new?
It's configured to send in all cases.
You had to think about that, didn't you? Okay, so we're going to approve it, and then we're going to watch the email come in here, see how fast it is, because we've changed the PDF render mapping. So we've actually changed it to just do an F. There it is, right there. Okay, so we've changed the PDF to be first view 1. So now we see view 1. Now this view, for whatever reason, looks better than the Microsoft generated one, but not quite as good as a local generated one. So, and I guess maybe that's why you're using that other view, Don, but let's just take a look at these here. So This is the one that was generated locally. Oops. Oh, maybe that's even better. Maybe I can just do it side by side here. So you can see here that there is a difference, but in general it looks pretty similar. It's pretty close. Not exactly. The right side is concerning me a little bit because we do have some artifacts. It's not keeping the right side, like it is with the PDF one. But in general, it's pretty good. It's much better than the Microsoft one. And you can configure your views to, make adjustments. Obviously, there are some places where this is actually a little bit better than the PDF one in the sense that it's actually printing without the section at the bottom. But a QPDF gives you the driver that's on the machine, so it gives you the best fidelity. And then this would be second in terms of fidelity, would be ours. And this really isn't doing it justice because I would say 95% of the forms we print look really good the first time. So we've got a slight artifact here on the right, which is making us look bad, and that's why it's a demo, right? Your forms will look better. We have a lot of customers using this, and we just need to adjust the view slightly. Everything else is fine except for that, the width of the printer. So let's take a look at how we did this again. So you can see what I just did was I actually reconfigured the form, the mapping, to use a different view. So I went into our Qt rendering and I opened up my render mapping and I changed the configuration from that view that you saw at the very beginning to the view 1, just to show you in comparison to what the other ones were, how it looked. Okay, so let's take a look at the other settings. Now, one of the things we're doing in 3.1 is not only are we moving to have the admin tool be part of a web page, we're also creating web pages out of this configuration tool, so you won't have to worry about opening it like I just did. Okay, so we've talked about these first 1, 2, 3, 4 different sections here up to view, and you saw me change this from the print view to view 1. I'll change it back for now. Now, in addition, the question I asked Dawn was, well, when does it render? You've got control over when you want the form to render. You can do it when it's submitted, you can do it when it's changed, right, or both. In this case, we're using both. You can also use a condition in the form to dynamically decide when you want it to render. So that's very powerful. We don't have that set for here, but typically it would be a condition such as you see down below, where you've got like settings. You can actually use a form field, and you paste that in here.
Status.
Okay. So, is it underneath values?
Well, yeah.
Is it like that, lowercase?
Uppercase for the first S.
And we'll say approved, right?
Right.
Okay, so now if we save this and redo it and change it to rejected, we should not get a PDF, but then whenever it's approved, it should automatically send the PDF at that time. Now, in addition, you can save the rendering, and this is described in Don's document. You can save it inside of DBXL. So DBXL has support for what we call storing blob content. So a blob is a binary large object, right? Binary large object means just a really large thing like a picture or a file or something that is not mapped to a bunch of SQL database tables. So we call that storage Qt file in DBXL. And you can store your PDF as a big, large object in DBXL database itself, which is useful because then you can use DBXL to access the PDF from a web browser without having to do fancy sharing of the folder. So if you don't have SharePoint, if you don't have OneDrive, I would recommend clicking on this and then providing the link to the form. Well, it's going to send it an email anyway, so they're going to get the link, and then they can open up the form via email. They don't have to. You don't have to share a special library, a folder, a network share. You don't have to do any of that, and it will automatically give them a link they can open, assuming they have access to the server. In this case, we're actually sending the email with attachments, so we're not storing the PDF as Qt file. Instead, we're actually storing it locally. And when we store it locally, we have to name it. So here underneath the PDF naming section, we're giving it a name which is the same name as the expense code. So Don, are you remoted into that server? Can we show them the folder where everything is saved? Real quick.
Yep, I'm connected currently.
Okay, I'm just going to make you presenter real quick so I can do that. And so this next thing, which you may have seen, is the setting that describes where it's going to be stored locally. Now, of course, we're going to synchronize this with OneNote and SharePoint, but you can see here, and actually, if you could just open this, let's look at the URL there for a second. Okay, so underneath PDF uploads, SharePoint, DBXL training, PDFs, that's the same link. So just have that. Etch that in your visual cortex for a second here. I want you to remember that link. PDF uploads, SharePoint, DBXL training, PDF, Patrick Hall said that's my name. And I'm going to switch back to my machine. Thanks, Don. Good timing on that. Very fast. Okay, so then if you look at that, keep that URL in mind, that's exactly what we specified here. So we're concatenating that string along with the name of the form. So if we look over here to the right, you can see that it's got a folder for the name. So this is the actual location of the archive, my name. That's why you see Patrick Halstead there. And then the actual name of the file is this thing right here, down below. It's the, oops, that's not right. It's the
PDF naming with the string expense report code. It's right on top of the email.
Okay, it's right here.
It's just right above the folder location. It's under PDF naming.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, it just skipped it. So the first item is the name of the file. The second item is the name of the location. So in this case, it's going to be named pizza because that's what I named it. Okay, and this UI, this user interface here, this form we're using to config is a bit confusing even to me, even though I've tried it. I've been using it for 6 months now. And we're going to simplify it in 3.1 to make it a little easier, but right now it is what it is. Now, if you look at the email section down below, it's going to also send an email with the title being that expense report -pizza. And if you remember, that's the email I got here a moment ago, is I got expense report pizza. So this email is what we're setting up in the second config line here. So we've got the name of the form after expense report name of the expense code. We can specify which view we want to send. So now let's do this. Let's actually send the view in the body. So you can see that what Don did and what you do as part of the training is we're actually using HTML node from the form, and that's what gives us this nice table layout, right? Which is kind of cool. But we can also use the view of the form. So let's go ahead and let's just do that. We're going to say view 1 here, and I believe it'll override the thing down below, Don, but you should probably verify that. Before I save this form out, I want to just talk a little bit about the other settings here. You can control where the email came from. In this case, we're saying for notifications. You can also control who the email goes to. In this case, it's the manager's email. And that can be an XPath in the form. You can put the name of the person separate from the email address, or you can just use the email address. You can statically encode the email address here, we're not doing that. We're dynamically sending it to the person in the form. You can CC people in the same way, statically or dynamically, and BCC as well. And then notice down below, what we're doing is we're extracting the attachments. So if there are attachments in the form, and I didn't actually, I'm going to do this in my next demo, it will extract the attachments. So let's actually do this again here, and let's add a receipt for that attachment. I'm going to go back to my library and hopefully get to the right location here without too much back and forth. Yeah, if you want to send multiple emails, Luke, that's a great question. You're going to use the eval technique either in your form or in that XPath. The eval technique was something we covered in Module 6 of training last week. So go back to Module 6, the meeting agenda lab, and take a look at the eval technique. That exact scenario of how to send to multiple people is covered in that lab. You'll use the same technique here. You'll just concatenate all the emails together in the form, and then use one field with the concatenated values in the config setting. Or you could have the config file, the Qt render mapping file, have the eval in it. I haven't tried that, but it should work because it supports XPath. So let's do this. I'm gonna basically I'm gonna take pizza. I'm just gonna use pizza again. Why not? I'll just add a receipt for pizza here. And I don't have a good receipt, so I'm going to use a picture of my cat or something. Maybe I can find a reasonable picture here. Pictures. So we'll just use our Qdabra logo, and that'll be our receipt for morale. And for the transportation, picture of my my truck, picture of my cat. We're going to actually have the cat take us. And you can see that these images are getting automatically kind of scrunched. Obviously, you'll do this in such a way that does not result in the scrunching of images. Dawn, what she should have done was he should have actually had either the height or the width set to auto, or is it 100%? It's 100%. So you set one of the axes to 100%, and then it doesn't do this strangeness. Okay, we're going to keep it approved because remember that was a condition. And let's change the amount so we know that, but this is updated here. We're going to downgrade the expense here from 74 to 63 and from 123 to 97. Okay, 160 bucks total, and we'll submit it. Okay, so now what we hope to see is we hope to get an email where the view of the email is now using view 1, and we've got a couple attachments on the email for the images. So let's wait for a minute or 30 seconds or so for the notification to land. I'm going to take a quick sip. Any questions?
Nope.
We're almost done with the demo, and then we'll go through the lab and show you all the good stuff you're going to do when you get a chance to do it. Luke, were you able to access the server? Cool. Okay, let's just see if we have any email here. I don't have an email yet. It's a bad sign. Bad sign. Checking my other machine here. Okay, we finally got the email. Boy, it took forever. Okay, so here you can see that, well, first of all, it didn't do what I wanted for the view. So I think what's happening is if we have the HTML there, it's overriding the view. But it did extract these images, and you can see that the images are preserved even though the form scrunched them down. Come on, come on. There she is. Okay, so the images were extracted automatically. So we know we're making progress. The view that we're using was changed back to to that view. But now let's go back into the form one more time. And let's try to get that view to change. So I'm guessing that even though the lab has you walk through creating an HTML body for the email, which is kind of cool, actually, it's kind of like the SharePoint workflow as a SharePoint designer, where you can create these email bodies. They've got a little dialogue that they use to create the email bodies, and that's the same. We'll show that in the 4 minutes. Show that in the lab in a second, but it's kind of the same idea that we're doing here with this HTML thing. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to remove that, and I just want to use the view. So let's try this one more time. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to email it again, or open it up again to get to kick. It's not going to automatically regenerate the PDFs all at once. Okay, so let's just change this amount to be 37. We've downgraded the pizza significantly. Now we're at $100 even, and we will approve it. We'll keep it approved, and we'll say one more time here, one more time, and submit. Okay, so it's submitting it to the library. The library has the event receiver. It's turning around and synchronizing it with DBXL running in Azure Cloud in California, right? And DBXL then is turning around, and what is it doing? It's looking up the PDF renderings for this form. It's looking at Qt render mapping. It's saying, aha, we have a Qt render mapping for this specific document type, Qt expense report dash sample. Actually, not that one. It was the module 4 one, remember? This module 4 PDF. Well, this is the name of the mapping, but the actual doc type is this here. And it's saying it's running the PDF generation for it, and it's sending us an email, hopefully in any moment now. I just got it. Yep, just a second, Luke, I'm almost done here. Come on, email. There we go. Okay, so here it is, and unfortunately, it didn't use the view at all, so it's totally broken. Don, do you have any ideas why this is not working for me? I mean, it's obviously got the updated one. It's got the amounts.
I'm not sure, but I could try to restart the rendering service.
When we're looking at the rendering service, there's a couple things. Actually, this is a great opportunity to look at the error log. Do you remember where that is?
Error logs, it's
On
going
the
to be
server?
at the event receiver, but I don't think that it would show any errors.
Right, but let's just show them where that is, because this is really a useful thing to have in this. I'm just going to have you share it again. And while you're doing that, we still have a few more minor things to show on the demo. We want to show you synchronizing to SharePoint library as well as synchronizing to OneDrive. But before we do that, whenever you have an error and PDFs are not getting generated, what you're going to want to do is log into your server and take a look at the event log. So that's what Don's doing right now. He's just launching the event viewer. And the event viewer is going to have your errors. And typically, if there's an error, most of the time it's because the PDF configuration had a field or something that was specifying that was not in the form, and therefore PDF rendering couldn't find it, so it fails. Because there are a lot of dynamic values in the PDF rendering, if one of those values doesn't resolve, then you'll get an error. Now, so here what Don is showing you is that the service started this morning at 8:46 a.m. And do we have any errors?
Nope, this was the last one for today.
Okay. So 7:43 p.m. What time zone is this thing in? Is this thing in UTC time or something?
It's 11
Must
p.m. here. Not
Let's
sure.
just scroll back. Let's just scroll back in the error log looking for errors. Let's just show them what one looks like. There's one, 229. Okay, so you're going to get some information here. In this case, the specified string is not in the form required for an email address. So if the email address was encoded incorrectly, you'll get an error. It should be relatively descriptive. Let's scroll back and look for one more, Don.
Oops.
Doesn't matter. You can go, yeah, go long, go far. Yeah, there we go. 226.
It's the same.
Same error. Okay, here's one that's more interesting. So now notice where Don's at on the left. That is underneath the application services log. There's a Qdabra event log, and if you look at this error, for example, it's going to give you the whole stack trace. It says here, object reference not set to an instance of an object. So if we scroll down, I'm not even sure what this one is. If this one, it says here.
It's a submit document with you.
That's different. Go to the other one. So this is going to show you the errors for everything. And we don't have any more PDF rendering errors, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, this is where you're going to go to find them. Thanks, Don. I'm going to switch back to my machine quickly here. Luke, you had a question?
Yes, it's not related, but just this screen. If you can see the pizza and the one just the box in front of your name initials, there's a gray box there. I see that in our library too, but I don't know what that means. Do you know?
So the gray box.
Move to the right. Just in front of modify by. You see modify
Yeah,
by?
isn't that because that's who I am?
Oh, that's the reason?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure. I'm going to guess.
Because we have staff ask me that question, and I don't know it. So.
Don, do you see your name highlighted for all these? Don, if you log into this library, do you see your checkbox filled in for all of yours?
Nope, it's unchecked.
Well, so do you see gray at all, like mine?
Nope.
You don't. That's weird. Okay, so that is not the reason. Oh, look at that! I just clicked it. Maybe that's a workflow setting. That's just availability. So what that's showing, Luke, is that's showing active. That's showing link. So Skype for Business, whether they're active or not.
Oh, okay.
So Don, go ahead and log into Skype for Business, okay? Can you do that real quick? Just to verify that. Can you log into this somewhere in here? Do you even have an account?
I don't have one.
We don't use Skype for Business. But notice if I can test it on my side here. Watch this. Look, I'm going to change this to available, not available. Busy. Do not disturb. I'm in training. Come on, you guys. And then if I oh, check that out. That was super fast, right? So that's their Skype for Business status setting. And if it's grayed in, it means that they need to click it to update or something. I don't know. But
Oh, that's great to know.
awesome. I love little side ventures. Okay, so before we're done though, we have a library where we're syncing all this wonderful stuff to, and you can see there's my pizza 7 minutes ago, and it's going to give me exactly what it printed out, the $100 receipt, right? So not only did we send the PDF to people in email, but we also, lo and behold, we uploaded it to the SharePoint library, and it gets even better because we synchronized it to a folder very similar to how it was being saved locally. And you can see here that we had 3 folders for each person who is testing it. Okay. Now we also have OneNote or OneDrive. So Don, I'm going to have you show the OneDrive stuff. Now, obviously, like I said, you don't have to synchronize it to anything. You can just keep the data in DBXL and you can send out links to the PDF. But a lot of times you want to have a repository out there that accounting or whoever it is can get access to it. So you're going to want to synchronize it either with the SharePoint site or with the OneDrive. So let's just take a look at that OneDrive. You're in OneDrive, right?
Yeah, this is already the OneDrive. Because
Can you just go through the browser though? Just go log into OneDrive from the browser and show them the browser, because this is kind of hard to see. Just type in OneDrive.com and go up there, or you can give me the password. But you've got control. So just go ahead and just go up to OneDrive in the Explorer.
It's opening the same thing.
Now just go to Internet Explorer and type in OneDrive.com.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to do something you haven't done before. Sorry. I should have asked you about this earlier. So just like Dropbox, there is a way to access documents on OneDrive. So go ahead and log in here, Don, just sign in. Somebody's spoofing you on your machine. That must be on our your remote it in, so that's on the server. That's kind of strange. I guess we had some testing done earlier. Yeah, go ahead and log up there using your 365 credentials. Don't forget your password. It's like, shut up, Patrick. Sorry, I don't mean to be talking over you like this. So yeah, go into recent there on the left. Just going to guess here that we may not be using, well, let's just investigate here. So go to files. Do you know where it is that you're synchronizing it to? Shared with everyone. Double click on, that's just you. That's not it. So it's going to have to be some other account. So do you remember when you set it up, which account you used?
When I open it, it just had the OneDrive already, so I wasn't sure whose account was it.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the internet. Let's go back to start and just type in OneDrive, and let's see if there's another OneDrive option that we can look at on the machine, because we're going to need to log in with that account. Go to
This one.
okay, try that. That's the same. Go to Windows Explorer here on the down. Go to Windows Start and type in. Yeah, so just type in OneDrive. Type in OneDrive. Sorry.
OneDrive.
Hold on. Yes, that's got to be it right there. Click on that.
It's going to open up the same thing, the same folder. This one.
Okay, go in there and go to File. And let's see here. We want to get the. It must be here. There must be a place where you can get the information about which account it's using. So I apologize to folks. We haven't. What we're trying to do is show you this OneDrive stuff in a non-OneDrive, in a web view. It's not going to be there, Don. I'm just, automatically it's creating it for us, so maybe that's the problem. But we should be able to share this with you. So go ahead and type in. Let's just share that folder with your OneDrive account. You click on share at the top. and just type in, and scroll down the list. Is there a let me just click on the drop down, and let's just see if you're in the list. Okay, then go to the specific people, and just type in, right, Don. Type in Don Lamatin at Qdabra.com. Same account as you're using for 365. Okay, well, we tried and failed, but it is synchronizing with OneDrive, and you spelled my name wrong, dude. That's okay. I'm sure it's not in there. I'm wondering why Jim's in there, but we'll look at this later. We'll come back to this tomorrow and give people another refresher here. So at any rate, if you click on create a new user, actually let's just try one more thing.
So using this one, this account?
No, just click manage another account. Yeah. And add user account at the bottom. I don't think this is going to do it either, but anyway, let's talk about this tomorrow. I don't want to rattle too much on it. We've been going for over an hour. Suffice to say that we do support synchronizing to both OneDrive and SharePoint, as you saw, and we have customers using both. Okay, so that's it for our demo. Let's take a quick look at the lab. And this is a lab for Module 4. And here's a lab. This is about a 17-page lab. So it's about like yesterday, a lot of images though. What you're going to do at the very beginning is you're going to set up and configure that form to send a PDF. Like you saw me do it, you're going to go in to the DBXL admin tool on your server or on our server. Hopefully Luke, you have access now. And you're going to either use the existing document type or create your own. I think the documentation has you create a new type with your name as a unique identifier. And then after you've done that, you're going to open up Qt render mapping. Now you can see that before we created the 11th one, we had 10. You're going to create a new one, clicking on edit, and then you're going to go in here and you're going to click open, I think, to create a new one. And you can click open or Qt render mapping. You can also, in DAT, you can click on the open button here too on the right. So it's going to open up the Qt render mapping. It's going to give you some prompts, and then you'll get the Qt render mapping open, and you'll be able to specify PDF module for PDF generation _ your name. To make sure you name it with your name there. Make sure you select the target doc type to be the one that you created. And then you're going to go through and configure it. You're going to select the view you want to use, when you want to render it, and you can set some conditional information here like we did. I believe there shouldn't be a space there, Don. That should be taken out. And then this kind of describes the feature along with walking you through it. Now, on page 6, it's going to have you configure this HTML view. So we actually do this in the form we create. Let me just show you in the form what this looks like. And we have a start and an end, so you can have a reference to the end result there. So in the form, if you look at this data source here on the right, you can see we've got added an HTML field. And this field has an HTML string in it. So it's got concat followed by a whole bunch of HTML, which we just give you as part of the training. You got to trust us. But it's embedded with information from the form. So you can see here that Don's created this table with the values from the form. Luke, here's an example of the eval here. So it's got that in there as well. You're going to use that technique to create the list of. Anyway, it's in. Look at the one in Module 6 in Meeting Agenda from last week. It's better. Okay, and then that's what's going to be used to create the view. Alternately, you could do what I did and select View 1 without typing in any value there. But for this, we did this. Now, and you just paste it. You just copy this thing in and paste it into your form. Because you're using the same form as the sample, everything will work, and this should resolve. So what I did was I actually tried this out as part of my testing this morning. I went in, created a new form here, and first of all, I deleted this. So let's delete this like that. Click OK. And now if I go back in there, hit FX, and just paste and verify, it works, right? So that formula works just fine. That's what you're going to use for the view. And that shows you the data-driven view. You can create a view that's custom. You can also use the view in the form or use a print view, some other view. Okay, so then once you've done that, you're going to come back into the QD render mapping form, and you're going to add in that configuration information. And you'll save it, and it will go away, and then you'll send a form from the library. It'll synchronize to the server. The server will generate the PDF, and if you've set the email correctly, it will send you an email. And that's pretty much the PDF configuration. Now we also have this ability to extract images, so we have a separate section here that shows you how to extract those receipts. So Don's written up how to, we add a receipt node to our form. It's a picture node, and then we go into the configuration settings in QD render mapping in the form that in the configuration that we set. We reopen it up, and at the bottom we can specify the attachments, and this is the XML path in the form. So to get this XML path, what you're going to do is you're going to right-click on the node in your data source. You drill down on items, and you're right-clicking on this receipt here at the bottom, and you're going to do copy XPath. And that's going to give you the location of the image. And that's what we're using here to extract. It's going to extract all of the images from that repeating node. And it's going to put them in your email address like you see here. Okay, now that's the first half of the module. Then what we'll do is we'll walk you through archiving using OneDrive. So this second half of the module, the lab, walks you through how to configure it to synchronize with OneDrive. The first step is to archive the PDFs locally. And so you're going to set that up. There's some more configuration settings. And then what you'll do is you'll synchronize that folder with OneDrive. So it's pretty simple. For the SharePoint configuration, the SharePoint sync, we have a separate document that we'll be giving you tomorrow that walks you through that. We just didn't have it prepared for today, but we'll send you a separate module 4B, or we'll add it to this document and show you how to configure it for SharePoint. We'll probably add it to this document as well. Okay, any questions on the training? No questions from Luke. PY, thanks for still being here. Are you still here?
No, I'm still here. I don't have any question. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so once again, a very important feature. Feel free to try those labs. I hope you can get access to your servers at some point to try them. But if not, you can use our servers, and you should be able to use our servers to actually go through the lab and test it and get familiar with it. Luke, were you able to access the Azure box?
Yes, I can. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
You're very welcome. And we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. We will be uploading this video along with an update to the document probably tomorrow to include the SharePoint sync information. There is a tool that you run to synchronize with SharePoint. So SharePoint is a little trickier than OneDrive, but it's pretty simple. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for being here.